Talk about it all here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button.
You know, one thing about Jaden that I've tried to talk to him about is tightening his chin strap. Because he doesn't tighten it, so every time he gets hit, it looks like his helmet's all messed up. And it's like, oh, God, he just got rocked.
For the win! Caught! It's gone! LSU does it!
After fucking Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, boys. Are you kidding me?
Well, LSU fan came stuck his spike in my booty.
That motherfucker hard!
Fan brought his 2 grandkids by and literally was just 30 seconds, just wanted to say thank you for the team and the season and what you did and how much it means to everybody here is truly what makes LSU special.
Yeah. Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. It's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, open up the phone lines. Come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go! All right. Big start. Big day. Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Good morning and welcome in here on this, what day is it? Thursday edition of the podcast that we're still working on the name for. We should have that hashed out by next week, I think. Should have it rocking and rolling with the new branding hopefully coming soon. Appreciate you guys getting in here and joining us on this Thursday. I love going through the chat when we first get up and rolling, looking at all the different ways people say good morning. Glimmer's morning crew, Kenny Bilal, good morning, Bunker brothers and sisters. Hope everyone has a great, productive, and blessed day. Go Tigers. Brian Burgess, of course, good morning, everyone, and happy Thankful Thursday. I pray you all are having an awesome and blessed morning so far. So beautiful outside. And then Fonz, good morning, Peckerwoods. I mean, nothing you can do about it. I love the mix of personalities.
Differently.
Yeah, I love it. P-Dub, let's roll. It is game day.
Motherfucking game day.
LSU versus Alabama tonight in Alec Box as the Tigers take on the Tide to try to get back on track in SEC play, as they got obviously swept last week against Auburn. Alabama also trying to get back on track. They've dropped their last 2 SEC series. Of course, the NFL draft is a week from today. LSU offensive line Will Campbell is expected to go early. Top 5 pick projected. Number 4 to the Patriots seems to be the hot spot for Willie. John Emery officially enters the transfer portal yesterday.
Moment of silence. Moment of silence is over.
Official. Yesterday it was officially announced that he had entered the transfer portal as it opened up. Also, LSU football has their final spring practice today. Christian is there. Also, shout out to Christian. He actually did this time get Brian Kelly's presser cut and taken care for us. So we'll listen to the quote from Brian Kelly from his presser 2 days ago. The players will meet with the media today after practice. And we'll also have all of the video put out for you guys once we wrap up here. Christian will get that all sent over, hopefully, to get put out so you guys can watch practice with your own 2 eyes. But the story of the day, LSU baseball versus Alabama tonight in Alec Box Stadium. Lloyd, how are you feeling about the Tigers versus the Tide tonight?
Well, and if you haven't seen, we also have another podcast that comes out on this platform, Rally Time Podcast, which released some very interesting stats that I don't know if you haven't seen, maybe you wouldn't know, but there is some level of concern whenever you go through some of these numbers, because the one and only Jared Jones, you'd say having a great year, right?
Yep.
Would that be the first thing that would come to mind? Is like, oh, I think Jared Jones is playing great.
Right, yeah.
And if you just look at the non-conference, you would. He's batting .446 with 10 home runs, 20 walks, and only 14 strikeouts. Now, when you look at SEC play, it becomes that maybe Jared Jones has reverted back to a little bit of form here that isn't the most exciting version of the Jared Jones that we have come to know and love and see. As in 15 SEC games, batting .254, not terrible, 1 home run, 3 walks, 3 hit by pitches. But the big number there, 15 games, 21 strikeouts. Yeah. And that's where you're – I mean –
it's the number I was waiting on you to say.
Yes, and you saw some of the lineup get shooken up a little bit in the midweek.
Yep.
And Bear Jones goes deep. I think he was 3 for 3. And so you see that, once again, midweek merchant, as he did, just compiling stats. He and Ethan Frey both.
Yes.
Just love hitting midweek pitching. But you saw LSU shake up their lineup just a tad, just a touch, and – I wonder if that's something that they're going to roll. And we talked to Jay about it, and he goes, it's not really something that I'm looking to, like, you shouldn't have to look too, like, that much into it.
Right.
It's something, it's matchup based, it's field based, it's trying to get somebody here that I want to see at this part of the lineup. So there's a method to the madness. It's just not always the same method to the madness each time. But I do think that having Dickinson at the top of the lineup the way that they did, and he said, look, these are college hitters. This isn't Pro Bowl where people care where they bat in the lineup. He's like, I could put Dickinson first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. He goes, Aaron Carey wants to play baseball. And so there's no ego as to where they are in the lineup, but it is a lot of how you can kind of balance what you're doing offensively and be able to create some more runs, because you've seen LSU kind of stall out recently, and then you make some changes at the midweek, and now, before you know it, as it's Easter weekend, Thursday game is here. And so you'll see if he puts those changes back into fruition or if he reverts to the mean of what he had done for the most part of the year, where it felt like 1/3 on were solidified, especially not only the players, but where they were playing and where they were batting in the lineup. So that's my big thing to look for, is to see if he continues to tinker with the lineup or if they go back to what they know best.
Yeah. What's your level of concern on Jared Jones? Like, I guess hearing the numbers is different. Like, if you would have just asked me without the breakdown, yeah, I wouldn't have had that thought process at all.
Because it feels like he's played well, and especially with the only having 3 walks in conference play, I felt like those must have all come in one game. Because I felt like he was still doing the same thing that he's been kind of doing all year, which is being very much a patient hitter not chasing, not swinging and missing a lot, but these numbers are starting to add up to where you're wrong. And he is doing that. And so I would like to see, but I still feel very confident about Jared Jones in the box.
100%.
But seeing the numbers actually, and that's what baseball is, the game of numbers, it does put a pinch of concern just because as Jared Jones goes, that's probably how your offense will go, at least for a good part of it.
That's what it's constructed. That's what your whole lineup is constructed around.
Built it around him.
Yeah.
But some of these other numbers are actually pretty, pretty encouraging. Stanfield leads the team in average at 360, on base percentage at 450 in SEC play. Brownsville hitting 308 with the team leading 455 on base percentage. So, you saw the Tanner Reeves experiment. Get to SEC play. What does Michael Brownsville start to do? Get over 300.
Starts to swing that bat.
That's right. And then you have some pitching numbers. And I think this is a little skewed considering what what happened last week. But his ERA is at 4.5, Ianson at 4.56, and then Shores at 7.23. But these are all games and Jared says this all the time, where he's like, there's been conversation about putting Cowan in for Shores on the Sunday game. And he goes, what game have you played or have you seen where you thought Chase Shores was the problem? And I was like, I can't really think of one as to why LSU lost because Chase Shores was on the mound.
Yeah, no, I agree. And my thought process on the Shores Cowan deal is why would you want to take your best relief? Like, you don't just have to put Cowan as a starter just because he's pitching well.
Right.
He's doing his job well. You're winning games because of how he's doing his job. Now, I liked the way they handled it last week where they kind of held the rope, tried to see if they could hold Evans and Cowan until Sunday and not use them on Friday, try to get through.
Yeah, once you realize you were kind of out of the game on Friday, It was like, we got other guys that can probably keep this thing closed without having to burn a bullet and maybe a loss.
Yeah, keep them strong. I want to keep the pitching staff at full strength more than anything, especially when we have talked about the bullpen kind of being an issue up to this point in the season. If it's been a problem, I think taking Cowan out of it only makes it more of a problem, only makes it a bigger issue. Greg R. in the chat, Lady Gymnastics tonight also. Yes, LSU Gymnastics in their NCAA semifinal tonight. LSU, Michigan State, UCLA, Utah, the top two advance. So that will be going on tonight, as everybody loves a winner. LSU Gymnastics is a winner. Along with that, LSU baseball going tonight against the Alabama Crimson Tide in Alley Box. P-Dub, could we see Cowan move to a Sunday relief role to help Shores out, or is that just dumb? I don't think it's dumb. I think it depends on – it all starts on Friday. Yeah. What can you do on Friday? We've seen kind of two different examples the last 2 weekends, where on Friday or Thursday against Oklahoma, Cade Anderson goes a complete game shutout, wins, and sets you up for the rest of the weekend. You get a sweep. Well, and then last weekend on Friday, Cade Anderson, got LSU was down not pretty bad, but I mean LSU was down a considerable number of runs in that game when Anderson came out. There's no reason to put Cowan in that situation. You really just play it by ear. I think if you're in a position to pull Cade Anderson out of the game and you're ahead by a run or 2 runs on a Friday, I see no reason not to pitch Cowan. Like, I don't want to hold Cowan out to hold him until Sunday, and you end up losing that game because you use somebody else. Win Friday's game.
It's like a game of I would say like a game of presidents and assholes, right? Like, if you've ever played the card game, like at some point you have to burn your ace in order to win a hand. And because what you're really trying to do is, like, you're not always trying to finish first. In that game, you're trying not to finish last. And if you have an opportunity to burn Cowan and it gets you a win, that's when you use them. And you talked about the Auburn game. Cade Anderson goes 4 1/3. Obviously, it starts with the fourth inning, torrential downpour. He throws 18 straight fastballs.
Yeah.
Like, I think he may have threw one curveball that was able to get hit, and that was kind of the 5 earned right there. Because I wouldn't say he pitched bad. He just was given an opportunity to where he was really kind of handcuffed to only be able to throw one pitch because he was during a pretty torrential downpour. And he throws So it gives up 5 earned, but 6 strikeouts, only walked 1 guy. But then you held the rope with after the 4 1/3, and you're going up against a crazed Sammy Dutton who had given up nothing. And so it was 5-0 when Kate Anderson left the ball game. So then you start to see some of these guys that you've seen during the midweek that have they're starting to flash a little bit and starting to have roles on the weekend. Then that's really what you've been asking for, aside from Kason Evans and Zach Cowan. It's who's the next guy. You saw Cooper Williams come in,
Yep.
Maverick Rizzi come in, and Jacob Myers. And you saw both Rizzi and Myers again during the midweek. Myers, back-to-back games, back-to-back appearances, no
control.
walks. Maverick Rizzi pumping 98. You've got guys that, and obviously everybody knows about Myers' fastball, his ability to strike people out. So those are 2 things that you found that allow you to not have to burn Cowan in a way that may not result in a win. And when you have the numbers that you have for when you compare between if you wanted to make Zach Cowan a starter versus Chase Shores, like, who do you think's throwing more innings, if you had to guess, in
Shores.
SEC play? Cowan.
Really?
So he's doing more just because he's not starting.
Right.
He's pitching plenty, and he's being able to get you wins. And so I wouldn't mess with it just quite yet.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what benefit it gives you to have Zach Cowan start on Sunday and you can't use him on
Friday or Saturday.
him starting as a Sunday pitcher doesn't guarantee you a win.
No.
But it does feel like whenever he comes in on Friday and Saturday, you really do like your chances.
Yeah, and I think and Andrew Messina had a good point in the chat. Cowan is going to have to start in the SEC tourney, regional, super regional, and possibly Omaha.
I don't
know. I think that's kind of where they're hoping Schmidt can get in a rhythm.
Yeah.
Because I think that role is really kind of where they're. I do a weekly spot for a North Louisiana radio station with Sean Fox. I think 97.7. He does sports talk, and that was one of his questions was about William Schmidt and the way he's been used starting these midweek games. If that is part of the thought process is let's put Schmidt in that position because we're going to need more than just 3 starters when you get to the SEC tournament and regional play. And ultimately, Omaha, like when you think back to 2023 national championship team, you lose that first game to Wake Forest with Ty Floyd on the bump. You needed somebody to get the job. You needed another starter to go get the job done to get back to Skeens against Wake Forest the next game. And you needed a guy like Ackenhausen to step up and take care of Tennessee. You need another starter. I think that's where they see Schmidt. And so I really think Cowan sticks in this star reliever closer role where you're up 4-2 on Friday. Cowan goes in the game and wins it. Shuts them down. You win the game 4-2, 5-2. David Berdo, it does seem like we always start Sunday down 3-0. Not always Short's fault, but he does get hit. He does get hit, but it being down 3-0 is if it's just a 3-0, like you have to be able to score more than 3 runs to win a game regardless. And to me, I would rather see Cowan go in a game you're about to win on Friday than be down 4-0 on Sunday and putting Cowan in that position. I'd rather him just be in that closer role where he can go 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, shut him down, and you win on Friday, and you're setting yourself up to win 1 out of 2 to win the weekend. Andrew Messina, Schmidt isn't getting deep in midweek games and time's ticking. You would like to see him not –
well, they're not. They don't want to see him get deep in midweek games because they're still trying to allow for him to be able to throw on the weekend.
But it does feel like on this past Tuesday he got pulled before he was.
Yeah, but I think that they're as much as Jay doesn't do this, I do think that Schmidt is on a pitch count type deal. And yeah, he got kind of hit around a little bit at the end of that midweek start, and it was smart to take him out because he was starting to get shelled a little bit. But I think if he was rolling into the 6th or out of the 4th, and he's got a no-hitter going, and I don't think he throws in the 5th. Like, this is kind of where they want to see him get taken out anyway, because you're trying to save that bullet for an SEC series later in the week. But, yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of opportunities and plenty of, I guess, moments where you've seen Schmidt kind of like, it's not like they took him out because he was pitching great, it was like it's probably time to take him out.
Right.
But he's also rolled a few times where it's like, okay, this is what they want to see. And you saw a lot of this with Cade Anderson last year, where the potential is there, and if you see him dominate in a midweek start, you're like, should you see him on the weekend?
Right.
And they're in the exact same spot. Like next year, you'll see William Schmidt, depending on what you add in the portal, he'll probably be in the running for your Friday night guy.
Yeah. P-Dub in the chat, I'd feel more confident with Cowan or Evans starting a regional before Schmidt. Lloyd?
When's the last time you saw Casey Evans start a baseball game? Like, it's not what he does. Now, Zach Cowan has started before.
Right.
And, yeah, if you want to do that, you can. It just depends on how the whole thing plays out. Because if you use Cowan as a starter, that means he's not pitching.
Right.
Any of these other games, you burn him. And there's opportunities. If you throw Cowan and he only throws 35 pitches one way, he can throw again. And so that's just how the thing's constructed. And at some point, it'll be, you kind of look around, you go, that's why you need 4 or 5 guys to be able to pitch for you, because you need one of these games. It's not going to be Cade Anderson. It's not going to be Anthony Ianson. It's not going to be Chase Shore. It's going to be somebody else. And that's what and that usually results in 3 innings here, 3 innings here, 3 innings here. And you try to piece it together. But, yeah, that's where you'd want to see Cowan. Absolutely. But I would also like to see Schmidt.
Yeah. Well, it really comes down to how the games
you can't just
are played. Like, we can't look at it right now.
Brush.
We can't look at it right now and say this is how it's going to play out. Because if you're in you're in the regional and you are up 4-3 in game 1 and you're taking your starter out, Cade Anderson's leaving the game, I'm not going to put in some other guy out of the bullpen just to
save Cowan
just
in case
for
we
game
lose a
4.
baseball game and now you have to use him. Like, you could just win
that
here,
game,
and then you don't have to worry about it.
Right. Like, just go win that game. Like, put him in the game and win it. That's what it comes down to. Matthew Conkle, baseball is ever evolving. Nothing will ever be 100%. If we have a chance to win, you'll see Cowan and Evans. It's all situation dependent, especially in the postseason. Mic drop. Yep. That's it. I mean, that's how it works. Like, we're not going to be able to decide who that fourth guy is going to be. I just think Cowan and Evans are so good in their role. You're winning games with the role that they're in. There's no reason to change that.
And I see the Sabrion and Spectrum runners in scoring position have been a problem recently. Yeah, that's going to be
that's a bigger issue than the pitching.
Yeah, and that's an inflated stat as of right now because of what just happened.
Right. Well, on top of that, the number was always going to be high. Just the way they play baseball.
Yeah, the way that they're currently constructed is they try to put pressure on you and try to get people on base, get people on, that's why they bunt, they steal, they hit and run. They're always trying to put pressure on you. But, yeah, 4 for 27 with runners in scoring position, batting 150, and left 25 runners on against Auburn. Like, everybody's going to point to that and go, that's not how you win baseball games.
Right.
And it's always been pitching, defense, timely hitting. Timely hitting is hitting with runners in scoring position in less than 2 outs. And then it's certainly hitting runners in scoring position with 2 outs. Like, you can point back to any game that LSU was lost, and you'll be like, oh, you had second and third and nobody out, didn't score a run. Like, that's what happens when you lose baseball games is you don't hit with runners in scoring position. Yeah. You can rack up as many hits as you like. If nobody scores, it doesn't matter.
You can hit as many balls as you want. You want people to touch home plate. Tonight, LSU versus Alabama in Alley Box. LSU's back at home. And it'll be a big one as both teams are looking to kind of get back on track. Alabama is 29-8 overall. They're 8-7 in the conference, and they're coming off back-to-back SEC series. They dropped 2 out of 3 at Auburn and at home against Mississippi State. And LSU is obviously coming off of that sweep at Auburn last weekend.
Yeah, both teams started hot.
Yes, we're playing such good. I mean, before that, that Alabama-Tennessee series was must-see TV.
Alabama kind of feels like it's all been downhill from there.
From that game 1.
After game 1 where they celebrated like they won the College World Series. Yep. And we were all watching going, I understand what what it feels like to beat the number one team in the country, or to beat Tennessee because they won the national championship last year. But we can't be circling the infield and high-fiving fans and acting like, oh, we just won a super regional, we're going to Omaha, because then you got your doors blown off the next two games.
Yep.
But I believe they will be Alabama is throwing Tyler Fay, righty, 4.98 ERA, 21 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts, 6 walks, 13 appearances. Got his first start last Sunday against Mississippi State. Pitched 3 1/3, 2 earned, 2 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Throws around 92 to 95. Big breaking ball and changeup. So nothing that LSU hasn't seen before.
Right.
And obviously LSU will go with Cade Anderson, but this isn't one of those elite matchups that you've seen the past, like with LSU Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That was good on good. And I guess Sammy Dutton, I don't know what that was, because he's been good this year, but he was a man possessed.
Yeah, he was excellent.
Excellent. And so now it feels like it'll settle back into more normalcy for Cade Anderson,
Right.
even though it is a Thursday game.
And this is a really good lineup that he's going to be facing.
Yeah, I mean,
Alabama has debatably the best player in the country.
I would not disagree.
And Justin LeBron, who is now hitting 342,
The
12
numbers are
doubles,
absurd.
1 triple, 15 homers, 58 RBIs. He's tied for first in the country in RBIs, tied for fourth in home runs.
Plays shortstop.
Yes. Last weekend against Mississippi State, he had 4 hits, including another home run, along with 2 doubles, 2 RBIs. But they also have Cade Snell, who leads the team in average with a 3.76 average, 8 doubles, 5 homers, 28 RBIs, 2 hits, 2 RBIs last weekend. They also have Richie Bonamalo Jr., a 333 average, 12 doubles, 2 triples, 4 bombs, 29 RBIs. Last weekend, 4 hits, 4 ribbies. That's 3 guys over 300. Then they also have Torres at 297, Hodo 295, and Bryce Fowler 266. But those first 3 guys, especially Snell and LeBron, are big-time talents. And obviously Justin LeBron might be the best player in the country with just gaudy numbers at the shortstop position, as he has 12 doubles, 15 homers, 58 ribbies, and is hitting 342 on the season. So that'll be the biggest challenge for Cade Anderson tonight, is going up against a guy like that.
Yeah, LeBron has 5 more RBIs than Bear Jones.
Yep, and he's a shortstop that's just crushing baseballs.
Yeah, I have a future on him to win the Golden Spikes. I did that after the Tennessee game one. I was like, this is the best player in the country.
What'd you get it at? Did you get it at plus something?
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but
plus money.
I probably should have gotten it earlier. But yeah, he's insane to watch, and that's just one guy that you can't let beat you.
Right.
But obviously Alabama's kind of stacked in the lineup department to where they have more than one guy that is capable of winning you a baseball game. But I'll always like LSU's chances just because of what happened last week. That does not make me think that they can't hit or that they won't, that's the real version of LSU. I think it was an anomaly. It was one of those kind of like blimp on the radar that you'll go back and hopefully you never think about. Like, it won't mean anything. Like, I don't think you saw that LSU team play and go, that's the real version of them.
Right.
I think it's a little bit more of, whoa, everything that can, a little bit of Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong kind of did go wrong.
And I was surprised about how, I guess, well the fan base kind of took. Like, it wasn't like a complete and utter meltdown after this past weekend, which very well could have been expected by, you get swept in that manner over an SEC weekend. You kind of expect the fan base to get completely, up in arms and upset and almost to a meltdown. I really didn't see that.
I think that would have probably been closer to the case after the McNeese game. I think that kind of put everybody right. Okay, this is what they're capable of doing, because it was you scored 10 runs again. You saw some different people perform for you. And so I think that was like, okay, never mind. They're fine.
Yeah, you saw Bear go 3 for 3 and hit
he hit Fry go 3 for 4
in the first inning.
That'll be interesting, because Fry is what kind of makes you change the lineup up a little bit.
Yeah.
When you can put Dickinson at the top, who is comfortable, like Jay said, hitting anywhere. But it does allow for Bear Jones to move back in the lineup, and you get a little bit more of a power threat behind Bear Jones with Fry, because he is the second probably most pop on the team.
Yes.
And then you'll continue to see Luis Hernandez, who Jay said a little bit under the weather, along with Kate Aaron Beatty, a little bug going through the team, which is not something that you like to hear, but they are taking care of it.
Especially in this big of, this section of the season.
Yeah, don't, right, exactly. But that's just a bad time to have that happen where you're not at quote-unquote full strength because of what you have after the series. This feels like a series in which LSU can kind of right the ship a little bit.
Right the ship and get some cushion.
Yeah, before you go into a schedule that starts to heat up.
Yeah, you have Alabama this weekend.
You're in the thick of it.
Yes. You have Alabama this weekend, Tennessee next weekend, go to A&M the weekend after that, and then you're back at home against Arkansas the weekend. That is a tough 4-weekend stretch.
And then you have then you return to, and then you go to South Carolina to see Paul. And that'll be a big series. If Sammy Dutton was any indication, Paul will be fired up too.
Right. Well, think about Brady Neal tonight.
Yeah.
Brady Neal at Alabama.
I don't know what Brady was up to.
Yeah, get those stats pulled up for me. But yeah, no, this is a big weekend for LSU, and it starts tonight. We talk about wanting to make sure, we talk about all this stuff about the Sunday game, about Shores, about Cal. You want to win on Thursday, you want to win game 1. Because think about how much more comfortable you are going into game 2 and game 3, knowing that you win the series even if you lose one. LSU needs to gets back in rhythm, back on track against Alabama tonight in Alec Box. Want to see him swing the bat, and then you got to take care of this lineup because that's a tough lineup. Matthew Conkle said last time I checked he was hitting 173 and barely plays. Yeesh.
He's batting 206 and back to splitting time.
Well, Brady, the grass isn't always greener, my friend. But
it's all right. We got Poppy.
Yeah, we're doing just fine with Poppy from the Puerto Rico Baseball Academy.
Poppy needs to get lucky back there. He's been absolutely wearing every pitch.
Yeah, there was one at bat on Tuesday where he took one off the pecker, off the chest, off the leg, off the shoulder,
off the pecker again. And then he goes and then the game before that, whenever he checked in, he gets hit in the chest with a pitch, when he's batting. He check swings and it takes one right in your solar plexus. It's good God, man.
He just needs a break.
Now he's sick.
He just needs a break. It's a tough stretch for Luis.
Jay was like, yeah, after I get off with y'all two, or we backed up. He's like, I have to call Luis to make sure he's okay. We're gonna send him over, getting him IVs. He's like, I just have to check on him. Yeah. He's like, he's been doing a lot for us because Aaron Beatty was a late scratch. He's like,
right.
He's like, I told the trainer, get this man right or you're in trouble. Because I need Luis for the series.
Yes. Yeah, it sucks for Luis the way it played out on Tuesday.
He wasn't supposed to play.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna get a break. I'm gonna get a nice night where I can just sit and watch. And
no, got battered back there.
Yeah, we're gonna actually. Cade's sick. You need to go, and we're gonna throw every ball at you that we can. And
he's a warrior back there.
Yeah, he is. He is. Sabrion, seems like we get one thing going good, then something else falls off. The ups and downs of baseball. That's it. It's the ups and downs. It's the sport. That's what makes baseball so special. Is there's so many things that go into winning. There's so many different pieces. You can just have one and not three of the other pieces and win, or you can be missing just one and have everything else and lose. That's what makes baseball baseball. So you're completely correct.
Well, and lest we forget, after LSU lost to Texas in the end of March, they started playing some of the best baseball they played. That's when everything was clicking at the same time.
Let's get inspired right now.
Because you had the Cajunomics Classic, 17-4 LSU wins.
Yep.
You sweep Mississippi State 8-6, 2-1, 17-8, and that's when everybody was like, LSU can win a multitude of ways. That's when you saw their best version of baseball. That was probably the most impressive series win, considering the delayed start, everything that went into it, and you were able to, especially that Saturday game, when you're like, all right, you won a pitcher's duel 2-1, then you go out and you put up nearly 20 runs and are able to sweep Mississippi State. Then you beat Tech 12-3. Then you swept Oklahoma 2-0, 10-2, 3-2. And then you were able to – Nichols should have been a little bit of a blimp on the radar where we were like, okay,
Yeah.
Like a 5-3 win at Nichols. Like I understand like all the travel, everything that LSU was going through, just in terms of playing so much baseball on the road. But I think we brushed that off too quickly because then you got swept by Auburn.
Yeah, it really rolled into the weekend.
Yeah, but then you right the ship, get back home, which I think is the biggest deal, to be able to play at the box after having such an extended road trip. And Jay was very complimentary of the fan base for showing up. On Tuesday, he was like, thank God. Like, we needed that. We needed to see some, like, familiar faces, familiar colors, and have some support because they're in the grind of it right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is the stretch of the season where it feels like, God, we're playing again.
Right.
And then you have the series moved up to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so it feels the same way. I'll be in that number tonight.
Come on.
Yeah. Got an uncle with a bad hip coming in town.
There we go.
So we'll hobble him into the box.
Carry him up those stairs.
Maybe we'll sit in some of those good seats.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know where we are.
Find your way. Yes, LSU baseball tonight. Get the series started off against Alabama. It's always, I don't know, it's something about that school that always gets me fired up. Like, I don't really care about Alabama baseball. I don't think really Alabama cares about baseball that much. But when I see the Crimson Tide and I see that A
right next
match
to that
up against
LSU,
it just ignites a fire. You know what I mean?
It always hits a little different.
It does. So excited to watch that tonight. LSU football is obviously where that all originated, and they're on the practice field today. Christian is out there getting all that coverage. We'll have it put out on our YouTube channel this morning, as well as Rally Time, the preview of tonight and this weekend will get put on our channel as well. Justin will have the full breakdown of LSU versus Alabama. That'll be posted today as well before game number 1. Christian also cut up some Brian Kelly clips from his press conference 2 days ago after practice on Tuesday, where Kelly just went a little more in-depth. His final press conference of the spring as spring football ends this morning. And he talks about just kind of where they're at as a program, what they got from spring, some of the different players and things that have stood out. The first thing I want to have is just Brian Kelly discussing his thoughts on the new spring practice on Saturday, how it worked, just kind of wrapping up this section of LSU's offseason altogether.
Yeah, I am. I think we've done a really good job of kind of balancing that out and adding special teams for the first time in a live fashion, kickoff, punt. I haven't done that in I can't remember. Probably when I wasn't smart enough to care is when I did it. So it was good to get that facet in. It gave us great evaluations of our players. There were a lot of things that we came away from that day in the stadium with just great evaluations on, defensive line, offensive line, the safety play. I could go across the board in a number of different areas where we felt really good. Running the football, clearly there's a presence at the edge position for us. It was a good day for us to evaluate all of the positions and know what our strengths and weaknesses are and what we need to continue to develop within our program. And, we walk away from that with even a better knowledge of where we've got to move some guys around in special teams, because I think that's going to be a dynamic group for us, and that's going to help us win some football games.
Yeah, and I think that'll roll really well right into this next clip of Brian Kelly talking about this roster and kind of what their thought process is as the spring transfer window opened yesterday. So here's BK talking about the portal and where their roster currently sits.
Yeah, I mean, I like our roster right now. It wouldn't surprise me if we didn't have anybody in the portal on either side, either leaving our program or adding. I would be, if you ask me right now, I would be happy to take this roster right into right into May, and on both sides of it. Maybe that's fool's gold. Maybe that's wishing more than anything else. But I like what we've done with this roster. I like the development of it. Not all of that is in my control, obviously. But I can tell you we're not like actively saying we got to have this, we got to have that. We feel good about our roster. If something shows itself that is an incredible opportunity, we're certainly going to investigate any time that we can help our football team. And so we're always going to be looking to help our team, but it's not like it was obviously in January.
I mean, that gives me some confidence in the fact that they like the roster they have. Now, from seeing them practice and being at the spring game thing on Saturday, they are not at the level they need to be to win on August 30th. And I'm sure Clemson, people that are covering Clemson are probably sitting there saying a similar thing because it's April. Today's what? April 17th. You've got months until game number 1. LSU really needs to capitalize over these next couple of months, getting prepared for game 1 to really just get in rhythm, in flow with everyone has the same focus and the same goal already, but they need to be moving together in unison. That's not where they're at just yet. Watching them on Saturday, the offense was not in rhythm. They were not on the same page. Receivers and Nussmeier. The offensive line, obviously, you need to get that position group figured out. But I really do like that they are confident in the roster that they have because I trust this coaching staff. And if they needed help at specific spots, they would go out there and get it. And I think if they do realize that there's a really good opportunity to get somebody in the portal that can come in and help them, at really, to me, it's 3 spots, 3 positions that you would be looking for a hired gun type portal addition where you're going to get this guy to come in and produce for you right away to get you in the position to make the playoff and win a national championship. And it's safety, defensive tackle, and offensive line. Offensive tackle to be more exact. Those are the 3 positions where you might see a need if the player in the portal shows himself. They're not going to go out of their way to find somebody. It's got to be the right guy in the portal that's going to fit what they want to do and what they want to bring in. So it really comes down to who's out there, but I wouldn't be surprised if the right guy enters, they get a guy at one of those 3 spots or 2 of those 3 spots. I would also be surprised if they lose much in the portal because I think they've done a really good job at fostering competition over this window. From everything that I've seen with my eyes, you have seen really good competition at a bunch of different spots where I don't think players think that they're completely out of the running for specific positions. Now, there are a handful of positions on the roster that are kind of set in stone, like Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins. They're going to be on the field. Nussmeier, Caden Durham, Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson, those guys are pretty, they know their spot is surefire. Outside of that, a lot of other spots are up for grabs. And I think that's the sense of competition that creates the opportunity for LSU to hold on to their roster going through this spring window. But I do think there are some spots where they could add. And offensive line is definitely one of those because although I don't think you've seen their best 5 on the field together yet, it has not been the most confidence-inducing spring for that group. I have not watched what the offensive line has done, especially being there on Saturday, and said this is a group that's going to be ready to go against Clemson. I'm hoping it'll be different when I'm sitting here thinking about it and talking about it in August during fall camp because you need to be. And the expectation was for there to be a drop-off and for there to be bumps in the road after losing 4 of your 5 2 of those 4 being All-American type players. But they do need to get a sense of comfortability with a group and find their 5. And here's Brian Kelly talking about that offensive line room and that group and where they believe they're at there.
Well, Paul, DJ, Cohen Eccles, obviously Thompson, those 4 guys in particular, Bordelon, 5. I mean, we got 5, 6 guys that can compete in there and help us win. We're just going to have to find out what the right combination is, because I said this, I think, after the game, it wasn't really about who's the starter, it's about what's going to be the best 5. What that combination, and we can get to the best 5. That's easy, but let's get them in there and really develop them. And I think what we feel like we leave the spring with is really good depth. I mean, we're going to have great depth on the offensive line. Now it will be about, all right, who are those starting 5, and that will be established as we go into preseason camp.
To me, if you had a list of things on your board going forward, with just number 1 being the most important, the top of that list should be finding the best 5. I agree with Coach that I think that they have really good depth in the offensive line room because they've recruited at such a high level. But you have so much inexperience in that room, and outside of 2 guys, 3 guys, you're going to have to use inexperienced players. And the most important thing for LSU moving forward towards August 30th is going to be finding that best 5. Because it can absolutely crumble every expectation that LSU has this season if they don't. As much talent as they have on this offense, and they have so much talent. When you're talking about a returning quarterback that was debatably one of the best in the nation last year, getting his 2nd year in the offense, 2nd year as a starter, only going to be better. Caden Durham, who came on strong as the season went on and is going to be electric as your running back. Hopefully, he's able to get this sprained ankle and injury deal taken care of. The wide receiver room, stacked, loaded, top-end talent, top-end speed, top-end ability. And then the tight end room. The tight end position is probably one of the ones you can feel the most comfortable about if you're an LSU fan. But all of that can be for naught if you can't put together a group of 5 that's going to go out and handle business. They have to be able to run block, to get push up front. You have to be able to run for a 4th and 1, a 3rd and 2. You have to be able to get enough push to do that every single time. You have to be able to protect the quarterback. Because if you can't run the football, Nussmeier's going to have to throw it 50 times. But you hope you have both. You have to give Nussmeier time in the pocket to be able to deliver some of these throws to these dynamic wide receivers. It is going to be the most important thing for LSU moving forward these next couple of months is finding that 5, that group of 5 on the offensive line.
Any level of concern that you bring in a Josh Thompson to Braylon Moore, like, is this more of a positive or a negative that they didn't get to slide in and absolutely become day 1 starters?
During spring?
Right.
No, I don't think there's any concern there. I think that more than anything was to protect the depth. Like, if you bring in 2 new transfers and they walk in and they're starters, they're given those spots, it maybe could make Cohen Eccles and these other guys feel a little different and hit the portal. They fostered competition. They said, you know what? The first 5 is going to be 5 guys that were on this team last year. And then we'll start sprinkling in these 2 new guys. I think when we go day 1 for fall camp, Josh Thompson and Braylon Moore are going to be in that group.
Yeah, because you are trying to protect from the team that you currently constructed, the guys that you recruited from going into the portal, and that's one way to do it, is if they just would have handed over right tackle or right guard, then you see Weston hit the portal, or you see Cohen Eccles start to hit the portal, or you see DJ Chester hit the portal.
Yeah, Paul Mavanga.
Right, and and you would be hard-pressed to see, and I know it just happened because I just saw it on Twitter, but like Josh Thompson or Braylon Moore, who signed with LSU out of the portal, go into the portal again in the spring.
Right.
Where that's where this whole thing becomes a mess because I just saw
the Wisconsin tight end.
Yes, Tanner Koziol, after he
transferred in from
to
Ball
the
State.
winter, and now he is in the portal again after transferring from Ball State to Wisconsin, now Wisconsin to somewhere else.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean it
like
can
it
get
can
messy.
happen, but it's just you would hope that
you're playing the odds. I mean, think about how Paul Mabanga would feel if he started last season. He was right outside of that first 5. He starts for a bulk of SEC play, and you get into spring and Braylon Moore slides in and you're kicked out.
Right.
You'd probably take some offense to that. Now, if you're Braylon Moore or Josh Thompson and you come in and you're not straight up the start, I mean, you can make that make sense if you're one of those two guys.
Yeah.
Well, I just got here. Why would I be part of that 5?
So does that's if you're Koziol, do you still get paid
by Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm. Like that check
I
already cleared.
I guess if it was a signing bonus, that check already cleared. Go get another one.
Go get another one.
That's where it gets so messy because who knows how it's all going to work out. Matthew Conkle, Adams, Chester, Moore, Thompson, Davis with Kern right on their heels. I'm in a similar spot.
Weston Banks.
Seville, I'm okay with using inexperienced players. You have 2 of the best offensive line development coaches on your payroll. Let them work. I agree. I think when we're talking about this offensive line group, you cannot go too long without bringing up the name Alex Atkins. And we're talking about improving the run game. You can't not bring up Alex Atkins. And there is a clip here of BK talking about the run game when Jacques asked him a question. And it's just a short little clip just to throw this in here before we continue the conversation on offensive line.
Which one is it?
Jacques asked questions about the run game.
Oh, I don't have that one. Let me grab it.
It's all right. Because Alex Atkins is a name that absolutely has to be brought up. Like, I put out a handful of clips on Twitter the other day of just some of the red zone packages LSU was running and how different it looked and the motion and all those things that are changing. I think a lot of that has to do with Alex Atkins. And so here's BK talking about the run game.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just the drills you guys were running, but wide receivers contributing in the running game. I mean, Aaron Anderson, Xavion.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see? Okay, I didn't either.
See any of that. Did you guys see any of that? I missed that. Wide receivers are supposed to catch the ball. That's all they do. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Cheers.
Oh, okay. All right, BK.
There's some of that sarcasm.
Yeah.
They've got weapons. There is no shortage of weapons on LSU's roster. When you see Aaron Anderson motion in the backfield, you better start smiling.
Yeah.
Because that's a special athlete.
Or frowning. If you're like, oh, God. Because that's what I mean, if you were LSU.
That's what should make it so easy.
You were dying to see that last year.
Yes.
You were dying to see. And they did it a little bit. And I would imagine if you're Alex Atkins, you went back and watched some of the LSU film and go, why are we only doing that once a game?
Yeah, let's just do it, get 20 yards, and then
like Xavion Thomas, and then Aaron Anderson was never really utilized like that. And he's like, well, you have 2 of them. Now you have 3 with Barry and Brown, Aaron Anderson, and Xavion Thomas that are absolutely the quickest way to get them the ball is probably what you should do. I don't care if it's hitting it off, throwing it to him, pitching it to him.
Whatever. Get him the football.
Those 3 are electric athletes with the ball in their hands, and it's almost comical the way that like BK responds to it because he's like, no, I don't want y'all to see that. But it's a little bit guarded. It is where they don't want that to be. It seems like it's going to be a massive part of the offense.
Yes, I think that along with Juwan Johnson is just the way that they're getting creative. God. I hope it's not just something we're seeing at the spring game and the final spring practices. I'm hoping game number 1, you see creativity, especially when they get in the red zone. You cannot continue to have red zone problems.
I think that's probably what the majority of this is for.
Yes. Because, I mean, you were ranked 94th in, the FCS, FBS, with red zone scoring production. Like, you're LSU. You should not have a problem scoring in the red zone against anybody. You saw it game number 1 last year. So my hope is you'll see the opposite in game number 1 this year. I mean, LSU had to go for it on 4th down twice on the opening drive and didn't score in the red zone against USC. You weren't able to score points against USC. Your defense played a heck of a game. You didn't win it. You absolutely have to, in game number 1 this season, flip the script, change the narrative, or you're not going to win it. You're going to lose another week 1 game. And I think the offensive line is the biggest key to getting that done. And then once that's kind of settled, get creative and find ways to score in the red zone. There should be no reason Trey'Dez Green and Nick Anderson and these guys don't have fade routes and comeback routes and over the middle, throw it up, let him go get it, or hand it off to Caleb Jackson and Caden Durham and Jawan Johnson. You know?
You were 83rd, yeah.
Find a way to score in the red zone. You have too many weapons not to make that work.
And this is touchdowns and field goals, and a lot of this stat is weighed in. But 81% of the time you scored. And a lot of that is because of decision-making in the red zone.
Right.
Trying to go for it a multitude of times. And then also play calling. And that's where Alex Atkins can make his hay, and it feels like that's the first thing that they're trying to address. Because if you can't run the football, and then you can't run the football in the red zone, it becomes a lot harder to score.
Right.
Because all of those decisions that you have to make, that field is condensed and shrunk down, and you're trying to fit things into places that they usually don't fit. And it's easier to play defense against that whenever the field is smaller and he can't run behind me.
Right.
And so I could keep everything in front of me, and LSU struggled immensely with red zone production, and now get the ball out in space to quick guys underneath, do different things.
Yes, get under center,
run
get
the
in the
football,
pistol, get motion going every which way so they don't know what to look at.
They have no excuse to not be creative offensively, and not get the ball out to playmakers. And then also, by the way, you still have Trey'Dez Green, who's 6'10",
right. And he's going to be on the field with Bauer Sharp and with Donovan Green. Like, as much as I'm not trying to discount Alex Atkins' title as tight end coach, his job as run game coordinator is going to be the most important.
Yeah, I'd rather him be better at run game coordinator than tight ends coach.
Tight ends coach, it's important, but he was brought in to help this offense. He was a former offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, all the above. From what I've seen so far, I like the way the dynamics work. I'm excited to see what that looks like in fall camp. But they have a big couple of months ahead of them before fall camp begins. And here's BK talking about this summer and looking forward to the work that they're going to do moving into August before game number 1.
Yeah. Well, I think that answer lies in your last couple of words, and it is we're not on the field with them, so this is where you really start to build that kind of accountability piece where the players hold each other to a standard. And that's where this team really starts to take off. And the coaches aren't out there to look over you. You've got to do it on your own. How far you want to take this happens in June and July. And so when they get back here on the 2nd of June and begin, what we really have been working towards is this sense of player-led accountability, and the standards of winning a championship are sown, in June and July. So that's big. We want to see guys to continue to physically develop. We want to see a Harlan Berry go from, 183, 184 to 194. We'd like to see him put on some weight. So there's guys that we want to see continue to build a coat of armor, if you will, for the season because, they're really talented. So we want to see that aspect. So there's a strength gaining and weight training and gaining weight component as well as an accountability piece. And then, there's certainly going to be technical opportunities for them to be out there. We have the player run practices. We'll have close to 15 of them. We call them PRPs where they're running practices and we want to see some technical development. So there's a lot going on in June and July.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is going to be a huge couple of months for LSU, for Brian Kelly.
Love the player-led practices. I think everybody goes back to 2019 whenever you hear that because it was an interesting couple of conversations that we've had throughout the years since we've been doing this gig, and one of which was whenever Tommy Moffitt was at LSU, he said that the 2019, like the player reports and all of these things, the player-led practices, 100% participation, 100% attendance.
Right.
2021, the lowest it's ever been since he's been here. Like that's a direct correlation. 2020 and 2021, like the direct correlation to a team that is not good. And so to be able to have participation, people buy in, and that's where you saw Ed kind of lose the handle on what accountability.
Yes.
And you're starting to see BK talk about that, like player-led accountability, where you have to do these things if you want to be a championship team. It's not, hey, do it sometimes, so do it a little bit. It's if you're all the way bought in, if you want to give the amount of effort that it takes to win a championship. We've heard Jay talk about this in 2023, whenever he said, hey, boys, if you want to win a national championship, I have the game plan right here.
Right.
It's right here. It's up to y'all. If y'all want to do everything that's in this book that I put together, you can win a championship. If you don't, and I'm not saying do a little bit of it, or do half of it, or do some of it, and not do it every time, because that's not how champions are made. But if you do this every day, we'll have a chance at a national championship. And that's what you want to see from your coach.
Yeah.
I know the path there.
Right, well, and LSU has the roster to do it.
Yes.
They have the tools.
But this is a coaching aspect of it, not so much of coaching from, make sure you work on your back pedal, make sure you work on your turn. Like, those are things that you expect coaches to be able to coach up. This is the mentality part that you have to be, like, get them to buy in.
Right, we have a standard.
Right.
That cannot, like, you cannot drop below this line and expect to be a championship contending football team.
And we've talked a lot about the chemistry and what we've seen on video, and it does feel like there's a little bit something more to LSU this year than there has been in years past. You have a quarterback, like, coming back, returning, that is a vocal leader.
Yes.
You have a guy on the defensive end that's a vocal leader.
Multiple. Jacobian and Witt, to me, vocal leaders.
Pyburn.
Yes, Pyburn. You brought, like, that's what I loved so much, and we talked about it when we watched those mic'd up clips of the new transfer players like Mansour Delane and Jack Pyburn and Bauer Sharp, is these are experienced guys that are coming in and not shying away from being vocal and leading. You know, they're not sitting back because they just got here and being quiet and not going out and pushing. They came here for a reason. All of those guys that came in this spring portal window came here to win a national championship, to compete for championships, to go play at the next level. But their focus isn't just, I'm going to do what's best for me and get to the NFL. They're building relationships and bonds with their other teammates to push towards a similar goal, which is a college football playoff national championship contention. From Nussmeier to the Weeks brothers to Jacoby and Guillory to Harold Perkins to Mansour Delane to Chris Hilton, who's a quiet guy, but lead. You're the adult in that group. You're the guy that's been here, seen it done, watched Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Kyron Lacey work to become that dynamic group they were in 2023. Do it. this stretch of time from now until August 30th, or really until fall camp begins,
Tell the players.
It's on the guys to go out there, put the work in, get your minds right. You all have a similar goal that's not just going to happen on its own. And Brian Kelly's doing the right thing by having that mindset himself of laying the groundwork and the lane out for them to run in, because this is the biggest offseason Brian Kelly's had. Brian Kelly's seat got hot after that Florida loss that rolled into a Bryce Underwood decommitment. It was not a comfortable position to be in. NIL funds got boosted. You brought in a guy like Alex Atkins. You brought in Lance Guidry, an analyst that was the DC at Miami. All of these things. Brian Kelly understands what he has with this roster, and he understands what the expectation is. And I think that's why you've seen a little bit of a different BK in these press conferences, where he's been a little more transparent and he's shown a little more, I'm in this too. I'm putting $1 million onto the table.
But yeah, the pressure is finally, it's mounting.
Yes.
And he can't be as cavalier.
Nonchalant about it, yes.
And not really have answers whenever there's questions. And we've said this time and time again, he's out of moves.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't show buy-in, if he doesn't show the amount of accountability that you expect from a head coach and not throwing players under the bus or blaming players or not having answers, that, yeah, you'll be held to task. And that's what he's finally figured out about LSU. It's like, this is not a game.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is
people's livelihoods. You impact their week. You impact their month. You impact their year. And LSU football is a direct tie to how people feel about their life here.
When it has a direct tie to yours.
It should.
And these guys that they brought in, I think, are instilling that in some of these younger guys that are on this roster.
Yeah, you brought in
guys that are bought in the second they got here.
It's a business decision.
Like Mansour Delane didn't come here just to play at the Power 4 level. He was at Virginia Tech.
He was going to get drafted regardless.
Yeah, Braylon Moore was a 3-year starter.
Yeah, right.
At center for Virginia to Power 4. Jack Pyburn in the SEC. Bauer Sharp in the SEC. Nick Anderson in the SEC. Go down the list. Barry and Brown, SEC. They came here because they want to win a national championship.
And the money was right.
And yeah, I mean, they got paid.
Yeah.
But
that's part of the buy-in.
That's part of the buy-in. And now they're bought in. They're here. And from what you've seen on video and throughout spring practice, they are leading people that they just met. And they're meshing with these other leaders like Perk, like Witt, like Nuss, like Jacobian, DJ Chester. That was your starting center all year last year. They're meshing, and that's what needs to continue to happen over these next couple of months. A massive stretch of months for LSU. Getting into, year number 4 for Brian Kelly? With the expectations through the roof, have to be a college football playoff team at the least. You have the roster to compete for a national championship. But you need a whole lot of things to fall in line, and that starts now. Today's the last spring practice of media availability, but I think it's the last one in total. It starts now. These next couple of months, this is where you become the national championship team. You can have a national championship roster all you want. We've seen national championship rosters time in and time out at LSU. Are you a national championship team or not? You can be a national championship roster. Plenty of teams have a national championship roster. Programs. I can name 10 programs that are going to have a national championship roster next season. Are you going to be a national championship worthy team? And that starts now. And Brian Kelly's laying it out for the guys of this is how you do that. And it's going to be a huge stretch for LSU. And I'm excited to get out to fall camp, actually, and look and see how much different it looks than what we've seen this past week, than what I saw on Saturday. Because it has to look different. If it doesn't look different at the offensive line spot, I'm going to be pretty concerned going in August 30th. So there has to be improvement physically. They have to physically develop. You want DJ Pickett and Harlan Berry to put a little more muscle on, to be ready to compete in a long, grueling SEC season. You want to see some of these, younger offensive linemen develop their body a little bit more, get stronger, more physical. You want to see Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins
get healthy,
and Jacobian Guillory and Colin Hurley get healthy and develop physically, continue to. You want to see Nussmeier and these wide receivers build a bond and continuity with one another, and the morale be high and to be on the same page. You want to see LSU find a group of 5 at offensive line. That all is going to happen over these next couple of months. And on August 30th, when LSU takes on Clemson in Clemson, you're going to look back at this stretch of time, and is it a good look back or a bad look back? Depends what it looks like on August 30th, but
up to this point,
you'll find out then.
Up to this point, you've given yourself only the inclination that you should be able to compete in that football game because of what you've already added, what you did in the portal. Now, it'll be interesting to see what you lose in the portal, because BK did talk about that as well, where he said, I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Right.
There's players on this roster that, you lost 8 last year. There's players on this roster now, they might not be key impact guys that you saw contribute last year, but that doesn't mean that there won't be some form of either trying to retain players or people that are leaving and looking for a place to play because of all that you added.
Right.
Like, that wide receiver room is stacked.
Loaded.
And there's probably people looking around going, I don't think I'm going to play here. And so I'm going to go look for greener pastures. I'm going to go look for an opportunity to play, and that can all happen in this spring portal, and it'll happen quickly. But other than that, and that's all a direct result of what you brought in.
Yes.
And so what LSU has brought in, whether it be the offensive line, wide receiver room, defensively, you got better. And that's where it comes down to, all right, you have the players, because I don't think BK has thought he's ever really had the talent on both sides of the ball, or the coaching staff maybe on both sides of the ball. Yes. Now it feels like you do.
It's all kind of come together.
All right.
Last offseason,
you put together
the staff that was an all-star staff. And you had a little hiccup with Bo Davis leaving for the Saints. Right. That brought a little bit of concern. But in my opinion, you've made a heck of a hire from everything I've seen over the last couple of months with Kyle Williams, where he just seems right at home. And then, yeah, amen. And then along with that, this past offseason, you put together the roster. You put together a national championship coaching staff last offseason. This offseason, you got the NIL right and put together a national championship roster. Now it all has to mesh and come together and become a national championship team and program. That's what's going to happen these next couple of months.
Then you'll see what happens against Clemson.
And you'll see what happens. And we'll cover fall camp for you. But as you've seen in the past, there's only so much we can say and see coming. We'll see what happens on August 30th. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us this morning, the conversation, all the interaction. We will be right back after we take a quick break as we are rolling into hour number 2 here on this Thursday morning.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by Hebert's Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, Hebert's Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. Hebert's can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
4EA Insurance Agency, established in 1946, helping you with your home, auto, commercial, life and health insurance needs around in Baton Rouge at 4275 Government Street and online at 4EAagency.com. Whatever insurance you're in the market for, home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health, get in touch with 4EA Insurance Agency, 4EAagency.com, or give them a call at 225-383-0682. 4EA Agency.
Get Gordon and get it done. Yeah, everybody know Gordon in a 225. He done link with Big Four. He got buku ties, Ferrari sliding, flying in a new coupe ride. And every time I ride by, I see a brand new sign. I'm with Gordon, I know that he gon' get it done. Whether it's a big truck crash or a hit and run, recovery funds, he fighting to get a ton. Mike Epps, man, we all about the Benjamin. Handling injuries, man, are you kidding me? Gordon McKernan, that's champion energy. Yeah, family man with a family plan. Get Gordon, he gon' fix it like a handyman. Gordon, and get it done.
Welcome to Trifecta.
Trifecta Sports Therapy in Baton Rouge. Recover, repair, restore. At Trifecta, they believe in total body wellness. Trifecta gets the body back to its full potential. Whether you're a youth or pro athlete, a pre or postnatal mom, or if you lead an active lifestyle or a senior citizen, Trifecta has the class, the sports massage, the sports therapist, the stretch therapist, or the equipment like infrared sauna, cold plunges, and golf simulators to find your best. Find Trifecta online at trifectasportstherapy.com or check out the beautiful facility today, 8221 Goodwood. Trifecta Sports Therapy.
Hey, Tiger fans, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit us, Tom and Wright Granning, at Go Mart on the Go Deli.
Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip.
Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on your left.
Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff,
where everyone is family.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
deposits. Evil in the way, now I'm just driving around it. They said I need a soul searching, I already found it. I ain't like my other side, now I'm sounding astounded. Drive by and let it ride like I'm whipping a Tesla. Pressure never fazed me, cause I'm bigger than pressure. I'm on my grind, bullshit, can't fit on my schedule. I'ma do what's best.
We are back here on this Thursday morning after as we're getting rolling into hour number 2. A little programming update. We will be off tomorrow. No show tomorrow as it's Good Friday. Celebrating the Easter weekend, the Easter holiday this weekend.
What is Good Friday? Which one is that? There's a bunch of them.
Which one is Good Friday?
Uh-huh. What are we celebrating?
You're celebrating...
He comes back?
No, that's Easter Sunday. Friday is when he was crucified.
Oh, this is when they catch him.
When he got ratted on.
He did, by Judas Iscariot. 30 pieces of silver. I'm sure that went a long way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Probably burnt that silver pretty quick. Just trying to get out of town.
Didn't he hang himself with the silver and then drop the pouch? That's the story I remember.
I would love to hear you just tell stories.
We should watch, instead of taking the day off, we should screen The Passion of the Christ. Live viewing. Watch party.
Tomorrow morning, 7 to 9?
No, we'll do it in the afternoon whenever we'll do it like real time. Like that. Like,
oh my God.
And go through the whole day.
Real time. But yes, we will be off tomorrow morning observing the Good Friday holiday as it's Easter weekend this weekend. So
a bit odd that people consider it a holiday considering what happened.
I mean, but it had a good ending.
A little bit later. Quickest sequel of all
Sunday.
time.
Let's quit. Come back.
Devious
down 3-1.
Took Saturday off. Really built the suspense.
Yeah. Hunter Hall, wait, the fellas are planning on being disappointed tonight. I see through this. Hunter Hall thinks we don't want the smoke about Alabama, that we're running from it. We are not. We are
observing a holiday.
Observing Easter weekend. So we'll be back on Monday, 7 to 9. Don't forget to follow me and Lloyd on our personals. Stay up to date on everything. We're putting some content out there as well.
Speaking of running.
Right. We make sure you stay up to date. There will be some changes up and coming over the next couple of weeks. And we want y'all to make sure y'all are updated on that. Obviously, we will be talking to you guys in the morning, keeping y'all up to date. But just make sure you are ready for anything that could be changing in the coming months. Hunter Hall, St. Francisville Inn, highly recommended to all. Hunter Hall noticed that me and my family went to the Francis for my mother's birthday dinner the other night, and he's a big fan of the St. Francisville Inn. So,
oh man, I haven't been to St. Francisville in a minute.
Really?
But it's a good little spot whenever you could do
nice little getaway.
Play at the Bluffs.
Uh-huh.
Play a little golf there, stay and play at the Bluffs, and then you would have to go meander around. That town shuts down at like 6:30 at night.
Yeah, that's where I think my dad wants to just, like, when he retires, is just be away,
saunter
from
on over to
society,
St. Francisville,
have his garden, and just live life. But the St. Francisville Inn at the Francis, the restaurant was great. It was absolutely great. It was funny enough. Max my younger brother had a root beer, and Cassidy had got a coffee, and so they brought creamer out. And listen to this, Lloyd. Max poured the creamer into his root beer, just a little bit of the coffee creamer.
Oh, delicious!
Mixed it up and sipped it. And our server was like, "What is that? Is that coffee?" He was like, He was like, "I just put creamer in the root beer." She was like, "Are you serious?" He said, "It tastes like a root beer float."
Yeah.
She's like, "No, it doesn't." And he was like, "Yeah, it does."
Did she taste it?
She might have made went and drank one in the back. But she comes back out. Let me see if I can pull this picture up of Max. She comes back out because he finishes his root beer float little drink, and
to be young and be able to, I would put some creamer in my root beer
and not care what anybody thinks.
It's 4,000 calories.
She comes back because and he has his no drink, and so she's like, "Do you want me to make that for you?" And he's like, "Sure." And she comes back out with this. If you can zoom in here, Lloyd. She comes back out with a chalice of Oh, you can see it from here. A chalice of root beer with creamer in it.
Oh, wow.
Like, brought him an entire big glass of it. So shout
That
out.
looks delicious,
Shout out to the
though.
franchise. And so I snagged it. I was like, you know what? Let me grab that.
You
I took
invented a
sip of
drink.
It was excellent. It literally tastes like a root beer float. Like if the ice cream just melted in the root
Your
beer.
brother's a genius.
And it was a hit.
How old was this woman?
She was older. She was maybe 50.
Oh, okay.
50s.
I didn't know if Noah was run. I mean, if
No, Max wouldn't run any game. He wasn't.
'cause that would be impressive. Well,
would be.
50-year-old, it doesn't matter. But to invent a root beer float on the spot in front of
He did, and it was
a
excellent.
waitress, she'd be like, "Oh,
She came back out
a
with
beautiful
that,
mind."
with
Yeah, that looks delicious.
and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it looks excellent."
This is something that is on the internet.
Really?
Yeah.
Max called it a dirty root beer, so I'm guessing he's seen it somewhere.
Oh, okay. They say it's been in the lab.
Okay, yeah, he's been working.
You can also,
well, because I'm pretty sure in Utah, they have like drive-in restaurants for drinks like this.
creamer and root beer thoughts.
Really? Let's hear it.
Rum chata and root beer. That
Yes,
now we're
Hunter Hall, Angela, she is fantastic. Look at that. How about that?
Why do you know so much
She's
about
excellent. Hunter Hall's a big St. Francis Villain guy. She's fantastic. So shout out if Angela sees this. Shout out because she did excellent job.
So people are doing this. Rum chata and root beer is good. What is this madness? I'll be mixing everything with rum chata. It's great in coffee and good mixed with Fireball.
Oh, Glimmer Fredette says about to order that at Sonic with my lunch. Give us a review, please.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
You won't get the chalice, but
You won't get a chalice, but you can get a Route 44.
yeah, extra creamer. I hardly know her.
I wonder what the calorie count would be on that.
Good Lord.
Route 44 root beer with creamer in it.
It's a butter beer.
Some news yesterday as some legislation is being put up by a Louisiana state lawmaker proposing a resolution to the LSU football schedule to only schedule home games in the month of September at night. I think last year's UCLA game is resonating with a lot of people as there were people fainting and passing out and having to get taken out of Tiger Stadium, everybody leaving early just because of how hot it was. And it was expected to be like that beforehand. But it was a rough day in Tiger Stadium that day. And I think Arizona State does this, right, Lloyd?
Yes.
They already have kind of this ruling of in Arizona they don't play day games in the month of September. And, I mean, looking at the UCLA game last season, there's no reason for LSU to do so either. Chris Williams, one of our photographers in the chat, shout out to Chris, UCLA game was cooking people 100%. I mean, you were on the sideline taking pictures. I'm sure you were quite warm as well. Brian Burgess, I can get behind that legislation.
Brother, that was one of the look, I've been to a lot of them.
Yes.
Fortunate to go. Don't like to miss many home games or any, if ever. Even I ran for the hills to the stadium club.
Yeah,
and I felt like a pansy.
It was death.
But it was air conditioning or death. And I chose AC. But, yeah, my East Side brethren over there, you could see that it looked like triage. People
they were dropping like flies.
They were setting up triage in the stadium in the walkway where you would people, and then people were trying to watch the game, but also they were trying to get medical attention. It was war, and if it's something that can be avoided, because you find me a place that's hotter than Tiger Stadium at some points in the year.
Yeah, well, at an 11 a.m. kickoff in September.
And look, we do some of this to ourselves. Maybe we shouldn't be, drinking whiskey and Coke at 10:30 in the morning, but maybe we should. I would like the option and not to be like, oh, you're dehydrated and, well, no, it doesn't matter. I could walk in with an IV and you'd have been toast.
Still, and it's all, there's also players on the field. I think that more than anything, it has to do with the guys that are on the field in pads and uniforms and helmets. And
that's why I feel bad for Chris. Chris, you can be in the best shape of your life. You're not a college football D1 athlete. And
he's sitting getting that
and he
field.
said field tip was 100+ easy.
Easy.
And he doesn't get the same treatment that the athletes are getting where it's God knows how much they're going through to be able to be able to participate, play, like get taken care of, IVs at halftime. Like, no, you're just cooked on the field.
Right.
It couldn't be hotter.
Interesting question in the chat. Jay Gizzle, will they take away a night conference game, though, because of LSU has too many night games?
So it'd be later in the year, like in November.
Maybe the TV, the TV stations will be like, no, ESPN's going to say, well, we gave LSU two early season out of conference September night games. Maybe one during October or November gets bumped up to earlier. I still think specific LSU games are going to be night games in Tiger Stadium regardless.
What's the LSU?
South Carolina, LSU in Tiger Stadium, I have a feeling will likely be a night game. And that one's in October, I believe. LSU, Florida in September will already be a night game.
Yeah, that game was September 21st. LSU, UCLA.
Yeah. LSU will play LA Tech at home, the home opener. That one's always a night game.
Yeah.
Or no. Yeah, that one's always a night game. Florida in Tiger Stadium is going to be a night game. And then you have Southeastern at home.
That'll be a night game.
That'll be a night game. And then once you get past that, South Carolina versus LSU,
it depends on how the season looks.
But looking at it right now, my expectation would be that's a night game.
Or that might be
2:30.
Yeah, that would be hot.
Yeah, October 11th still probably be pretty warm.
But then you get into like October 25th. Like if you want to
Texas A&M,
that'll be a night game. LSU at Alabama, night game.
Arkansas, LSU, maybe earlier in the day.
Yeah,
Western Kentucky at LSU,
night game.
So we'll see, but I think the 4 games the 3 games in September at home already were going to be night games, really, regardless.
That is a good question. It would be like the South Carolina. It depends on where you want to put it TV wise, because of the way that they get their pick of the litter,
right?
And sometimes that 2:30 slot is prime. And you want, as much as LSU wants to play at night, you also want to be in the conversation for those 2:30 games. You'd have to look across the country and see what other games are going on.
I'm about to pull up right now.
But yeah, there's potential for that, or it could be the 8 o'clock game that they do on ESPN2.
Let's see.
I do wait for a day when, like LSU UCLA last year, that's like just put it on SEC Network Plus and we'll play at 7.
Right.
Like the most viewed SEC Network Plus, people would be livid. I guess you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But bring back Tiger Vision.
Imagine. See, I'm trying to find what other games will be played that week. Let's see, of LSU versus South Carolina. Is that before or after Ole Miss?
Which one?
LSU versus South Carolina.
It's after Ole Miss.
After Ole Miss. Let's see.
It's October 11th.
October 11th. So, week 7 of the 2025 season, LSU versus South Carolina. You also have Georgia versus Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what else is there? Oklahoma and Texas. That's
that's afternoon.
That's always 11 a.m. Really.
Yeah, that's the Red River Shootout at
11.
The Caleb Williams Legacy game.
Michigan versus USC.
Trying
to see if there's anything else that's.
They'll play in the afternoon though.
Yeah, I think this is set up for LSU to be the. Shoot, they might get game day.
Yeah,
I don't see anything else on this schedule that's really standing out. Tennessee and Arkansas.
No.
Alabama at Missouri.
No.
Florida and A&M.
Maybe.
Georgia and Auburn. I think LSU. South Carolina at LSU sets up to be a night game.
I saw a fake tweet that had Lenore Sellers in the portal and people were freaking out.
I saw the same one.
And I was like, no, this can't be true. I'm just like, this got a lot of people.
The biggest thing, I guess, for that game would be South Carolina before LSU has their schedule. Virginia Tech, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Kentucky. They have a pretty good opportunity at being undefeated going into that game. I think even if they have one loss, they're in a good spot. LSU has 3 big-time games ahead of that South Carolina game against Clemson, Florida, and Ole Miss. I think if LSU even has one loss at that point, that's still going to be kind of a huge game. Gage Evans, how good is South Carolina 3 or 4 games in the season. That's what it'll come down to. So we shall see. But I like the legislation because you shouldn't have to play 11 a.m. kicks in September if you're LSU, because it's not safe for the players, it's not safe for the fans. I don't see why not. Now, I am interested in the fact that this legislation only includes Louisiana State University, as there are other schools in Louisiana, and none of those schools were included in the legislation. It's just LSU only, which that's what you get for being the flagship. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but I think LSU's games in September will already be in the evening time anyway, so there won't be too much shakeup to come next season anyways. I don't think there'll be any danger of heat strokes once again. Louis, did you see the news about Nico yesterday?
UCLA?
That's what it appears to be.
It keeps being reported, but not
Official.
verified. Pete Nakos did put one out, right? That's the one that everybody would seem to be getting their news from.
Yes, everybody's waiting on 3 for the official Nico stuff.
And he has...
Let's see. The last reported on 3 14 hours ago. So after Colin Cowherd says...
Saw that.
Nico to UCLA is a done deal, which I was surprised that why is Colin Cowherd the person?
He's big into California sports.
Interesting.
He was a huge USC guy whenever he was on ESPN, and I guess he just has. Does he live over there? Is he on the West Coast?
Maybe.
I don't know where his studio is, but he always seems to be plugged into covering that version of college football and not the SEC, which is fine. But it's a lot of USC, UCLA coverage for some reason. He'll have Leonard on, he'll do that whole song and dance. So I wasn't as surprised, but yeah, he's not really a college football reporter.
Right. And so he puts that out on 3, says it's expected for Nico to transfer to UCLA, and then 2 hours later, at CLO ESPN, Chris Lowe reports, and on 3 quotes it, Nico to UCLA is not a done deal. And in the quote it says, if Nico's deal with UCLA gets done, it won't be close to the $4 million his camp was asking for from Tennessee.
Yeah. And
who's surprised?
And Nico's, names are close. Reported earlier today for On 3 Sports that Nico's deal will be under $4 million, especially without a competitive marketplace, continues to trend that way. Yeah, he's priced himself out of the market.
Yes.
And to go from, still, this is also what's shocking, is this back and forth of how it's about the Tennessee offense and how he's not competitive.
So stupid.
And he's looking for an offense that is more suited to Nico, and they can't compete with Heupel's offense. Heupel's offense is, you saw what he did to LSU. You saw what Tennessee did.
He turned Hendon Hooker into a Heisman candidate. He got Joe Milton drafted.
Yeah, the offense is not the problem.
No.
I know it's a bit of a different looking offense, but it's set up for a quarterback to succeed.
Yeah, in my opinion, that quote, that idea that the offense was the issue,
they're just grasping at everything.
Yes, PR trying to catch and save the fact that they completely misjudged the market. Thought they could get $4 million, and Nico's not even going to get $2.5 million. He was making $2.5 million at Tennessee and wanted $4 million. They told him no. He's not going to get $2.5 million somewhere else. What do you have?
No. This is just the production of college quarterbacks under Josh Heupel. Drew Lock, 44 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Mackenzie Milton, 25-6, 29-7, 32.
These numbers are Hendon Hooker, 3,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, 2 picks. 2,900, 31, 3 picks. Joe Milton, 20 and 5.
Joe Milton only throwing 5 interceptions is absurd.
Absurd.
But I guess if you wanted to spin this argument as to why, you don't want to be in this type of offense, it isn't production at the collegiate level; it's development for the next level. Which you could have
make an argument.
You can make that argument that it's very almost too college to where you kind of don't get that. And you've seen this happen to players before, that they don't know how to identify the Mike linebacker.
Right.
They don't know how to run a huddle. They don't know how to get under center because they've never had to. And that's where, like, the Gruden stuff that comes out, especially whenever, like, the college football was at its peak, and he was trying to teach them essentially how to play professional quarterback.
Right.
And now you've seen a lot of these guys, they're a lot more polished, but he was losing his mind, man. It's like you don't know how to hold a huddle.
No.
You don't know how to call a play.
What?
Yeah. And so he's trying to teach some of these guys like how to get under center.
Right.
And so if you did want to make the argument that
it could be made
development for the next level and also $4 million, like, yeah, it gets the best of everything.
Yeah, but to me, I mean, the idea that it was because of the offense was just a kind of a last-ditch effort to make it not look as bad that Nico and his camp completely mismanaged the market, misjudged the market, because you're not going to get $4 million anywhere.
No.
I don't think he's even going to get 2.5.
But I don't understand how you go into this thing with all of the resources that are available to make a decision, and you decide, like, even on a whim, like, I want this X amount of dollars. Like, you would have to have that. Obviously, you saw, like, the no contact list, and we've talked about that before.
Right.
If you have a do not contact, like, put on you when you're in the portal, it feels like you already have a deal done. If you're going into, you already have a pretty sweet gig lined up at Tennessee.
Right.
And then you're saying, no, I want to go in the portal and I want X amount. You don't have it guaranteed anywhere.
Like, why bluff?
I would like to, I mean, this is the cynic in me. I would love to see nobody sign him. Just to be like, you can't hold.
Point.
And the only reason that it bothers me to that extent is because of what he did for the college football playoff. And, like, if that's reportedly true,
right,
which is trying to negotiate and leverage yourself before a college football playoff game, like, that shit can't happen.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it's happening other places. Like, it's not just a Nico issue. Like, I've seen reports that Ohio State players did it too.
Right.
And that's what's.
If he ends up at UCLA, we don't have to worry about that because they're not going to make
right.
playoffs,
No, but
so.
the fact that it could even be a conversation point
Right.
of, hey.
No, I couldn't imagine us sitting here in December and an LSU player doing that.
Right. Like, it would be nuts doing it. You know, like, just for a comparison's sake, you're starting quarterback before you played all year. You get to the point of, hey, you win 2 more games. Like, this is a real season. Like, this is the fun part. Like, I'm actually holding out for more money. And it's like, talk about the quickest way to spurn you and your fan base. Like,
yes.
there's no coming back from that.
No.
Especially in college athletics. You can't do it anywhere else because of the way that contracts are set up and all of the structure that is in NFL football and is in the NBA. But it could certainly happen in college basketball. It can certainly happen in college football. Hell, it could happen in college baseball.
Yeah, all of it.
Because there's no structure. There's no
stop. There's no rule stopping it.
Right. So it's like, okay, you get to Omaha and Kate Anderson's like, I'm not throwing.
Yeah. Until you pay me this.
Right. And you really do have to make a decision of like, okay, yeah, but if I'm a coach and this is what you're seeing is there's only one real way to stop this because it's systemic, and it's like, do it and see what happens. Like, we all have made an agreement that no one player is bigger than the program.
We're calling your bluff.
So all of the coaches would have to be in agreement to, like, this is what we're doing from now on.
Right.
Because if he does get a deal done at UCLA, it's like, it proves that this model can work for you can essentially hold teams hostage and hope to get something. Like, even this worked to an extent, but if it had been Tennessee signing him for $4 million because he said he wanted to quit, like, that's not a great avenue to continue down for college football. Even this one seems like the road's a little janky.
He was actually bluffing, and he's going to keep the 2.5, and he comes back. That fan base never respects him the same way. You know?
Unless they would if he won.
Yeah, I mean, you could win them back over, but what an absolute mess. So we'll see where Nico ends up. Seems like UCLA right now. That was my original guess.
Yeah, it feels like a UCLA thing. They don't know what they're doing.
No, they good quarterback that's from here. Why not? They lost Dante Moore to Oregon.
Right. It just feels like that they're always like pissing in the wind with like trying to be relevant, not trying to be relevant. You just remember their opening presser last year after Chip Kelly left him in the wind?
Big Ten Media Day.
Yeah, it was Big Ten Media Day, and I'm just excited.
Well, I'm the head coach at UCLA.
USC is right down the road.
We're in Los Angeles.
I'm excited. Any questions? No questions. Great.
I'm done. Goodbye.
This mom showed up to field day. She's an Olympic sprinter.
I saw this.
Participated. This is awesome.
I saw you were watching something back there.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
That's so funny.
They didn't even have much. I wouldn't have even ran.
No.
I mean, she just
dusted them.
That's awesome. Imagine how cool her son
coming in
feels.
second would be great.
Yeah. Imagine how cool the kid feels.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, my mom!
yeah, I saw her in the Olympics. They asked her
Yeah,
about
we
it.
knew that was coming.
Yeah, they asked her about it. She's like, I'm a parent, too. I can perform. Why can't I do field day?
It's like, Princess Diana. Didn't she?
Oh,
didn't
she
run
took
on
it like,
field day?
they tried to not let her.
And she was like, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm a dog.
I'm running. And she won.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with Nico, but I'm just glad for now LSU's not involved in all of these types of mess.
To this Kennedy Urlacher hitting the portal from Notre Dame? Because he's a player. He's Brian Urlacher's son.
I figured.
But he played a lot last year.
Let's see. Kennedy Urlacher. I mean, Mike Singer.
I just never know
He's
what to
recruiting
trust
insider
outside of
for
LSU. Oh, Hayes
recruiting insider
Fawcett.
for On3. Hayes Fawcett's got it?
Yeah.
Yep. Notre Dame safety Kennedy Urlacher's entering the transfer portal, he tells On3 Sports.
He's a little missile.
He's got 3 years of eligibility. 5'11", 200. 3 years of eligibility remaining.
Yeah, he got buried on the depth chart, they said.
Yeah, well, he is in the portal, so.
I would like to take a swing at old Urlacher.
Yeah, I mean.
If you got Urlacher mentality.
Sold!
I'm good with it.
At a position of need.
At a position of need.
You know, like I said, if LSU sees something that is a, must get.
He's a tackler.
Like, if it's the right move, and this one seems like it could. He's up in the box, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Well, his daddy not going to let him not play like this.
I know your daddy.
I'm your daddy now. But, it does kind of.
No,
Is that not what LSU fans complained about the most, is tackling in the box?
Yeah.
It's like safeties making plays.
That's what the safeties at LSU weren't doing. So, I don't know, no inside source that LSU's making the move.
I just happened to see it, and I thought that was interesting.
It does look like something that could work. So, I guess keep your eyes peeled, because I'm going to keep my eyes peeled, because I like what I saw in that film there.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do a quick athletic connections. We'll close it out. We'll be back on Monday, obviously. We'll take tomorrow off. So enjoy your Easter weekend. Enjoy some crawfish. Everybody better be having crawfish this weekend. That's the only way to truly celebrate Easter. You go to church, you go home, you have some crawfish.
No, we do unleavened bread and fish.
Fair enough.
And we multiply it.
You turn the water to wine?
Yes. We turned root beers into root beer floats.
Root beer floats. Come on.
It's unbelievable.
I'm expecting Glimmer to get back to us with a review of what he thought from his one at Sonic. His Route 44 Dirty Root Beer at Sonic. I'm expecting to hear a good review.
Good for your brother.
Yep.
I thought he invented it, but it seems like...
No, it's definitely it's been a thing. And that's what Sonic is kind of trying to turn into, is they make these different drinks with the sodas and the syrups and the...
Yeah, I guess so. I don't participate in that.
No, you're just a water guy?
Now, there are some drinks at Sonic that are fuego.
Like?
Great mixers.
Love an ocean water.
Love an ocean water.
Cherry limeade.
Cherry limeade.
As a kid, I loved the cherry limeade because they always had a lime and a cherry in there.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have the cherry.
An adult.
Yes.
And a cherry limeade slush. Just a limeade slush.
Yeah. Powerade slush.
Powerade slush.
With nerds.
If you can, muster it. But it's just such a far cry from McDonald's. You get excited about these things, and it's always broken. Yeah. Sonic never broken.
No, ever.
Ever.
You can always get a blast at Sonic.
Call.
McFlurry.
Hit or miss. It's not even up to you.
No.
Now, yeah, well, that's how you power rank it, right? Like Blizzard, Blast, McFlurry.
I do love a McFlurry, though. It's just you can't ever get one.
And they do taste different than...
Yes. And they've got the fancy spoon.
For the McFlurry?
Yes.
What does it do?
That's the way they mix it. The spoon attaches to the thing in the machine.
Do you know how dumb I was as a kid?
You
I thought it was a straw.
Yep.
And I was like, this straw never works.
It don't matter how hard I suck it.
Yeah, I'm sucking it, Daddy.
Ugh.
Ugh.
All right. Terry Bradshaw.
Speaking of Daddy.
Let's see what we got here. So we've got Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin.
We've got F1 shit.
Uh-huh. There we go. And I have no idea. This is a different one.
What do you think? Alpine is like, these are other things.
I don't know.
Alpine, luge.
Berra. I don't know what Berra is.
Biathlon. Yogi Berra is a person.
Oh, Yogi Berra. There we go. That makes more. Oh, so Berra. And then what we've got.
This is a tough one.
Roberto Clemente. Yogi Berra. Interesting. Brian Burgess says Bradshaw, Clemente, Green, Crosby.
Oh, Pittsburgh?
Maybe.
Yeah.
That does sound right. Sidney Crosby, yeah.
Mean Joe Green.
Mm-hmm.
Roberto Clemente, Terry Bradshaw. Nice. Good connection. Skeleton.
And then
Skeleton, luge, Alpine.
Mercedes.
I don't know.
Red Bull.
Ice hockey. This guy.
Yeah, it's Alex Ovechkin.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know what else.
Me neither.
Alpine. Things that are done in the snow. Luge.
Let's see what else.
Things that are done in cold weather, right? Or is this too much of a stretch?
I don't know. I feel like it's a bit of a stretch.
Ferrari, Red Bull.
Where does Lamar Jackson fit in?
I don't know. That's where you have to start thinking a little bit differently. Like Earnhardt Jr., Yogi Berra,
Alex Ovechkin.
Right. Like, what
Lamar
are you trying to make this? So there's something. Like Lamar Jackson and Mercedes don't have anything to do with each other.
Oh, here we go.
But if they do,
ice hockey, skeleton, luge, biathlon.
Oh.
You're still on
Ovechkin.
They say that's winter sports.
Yeah, that's right. I was getting there.
Yeah, you were getting there for sure.
I thought it might have been Alpine.
Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari.
Red Bull, Mercedes. I know. I didn't know what the other. I guess Alpine might have to be at. I don't know what Alpine is.
F1 racing teams, and then
let's see.
How do these all connect?
To see what this is.
How do these connect? They professional athletes.
Famous number 8.
Number 8. Wow.
Wow.
There we go.
Raise hell, praise Dale.
Shout out to Brian Burgess. Brian had that earlier. Berra, Earnhardt, Lamar, and the other picture.
That was a great.
That was the first one that kind of
stumped us.
Called us.
I don't know if we would have gotten it without the chat.
Yeah, shout out to Brian Burgess once again, and everybody else. Don't forget, no show tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday.
Oh, Hunter Hall. See, you'll not get this. Makes me feel better.
Hey, we got it.
We got it.
We completed it.
I had the ice hockey, skeleton, luge, biathlon. I would have gotten that.
You did. You were on top of that one. Good job.
And then I had the F1 teams too. I was gonna get there. Mercedes, Lamar, Ferrari, Jr. All fast.
All fast. Fast things. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us this morning.
Enjoy your weekend.
Enjoy your weekend. Happy Easter.
Pray to God.
Enjoy some LSU versus Alabama baseball.
Carry the cross.
We'll see you on Monday.
See you on Monday. Jesus Christ. He can't lose.
Hey, Tino. stepping, we can never put on the same shoes. I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose. For myself, man, I can't lose. For my family, man, I can't lose. I grind hard and I can't lose. I'm stacking days, man, I can't lose. Big stepping, we can never put on the same shoes. I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose.